Today, I want to address something deeper, your self-worth and the identity you carry into this new chapter of your life. If you've come this far and watched my previous couple podcasts, you've already taken steps to calm the overwhelm and begin transforming those heavy emotions after your divorce. But maybe there's still a lingering question in your heart. Who am I now? And am I allowed to want more for myself, to feel worthy of happiness and success? Some of you mentioned feeling like you can't put your own needs first. One sister recently shared, I've spent months trying to hold everything together, kids, finances, my own mental health, but what about me? I'm finally wanting to put my needs first and I want to be the best version of myself, but I'm not sure how to do it without feeling selfish. Another said she's stuck living with family, feeling constantly judged, wondering if she'll ever have the space to just be. Maybe you resonate with this, the ache of wanting more from life, but not fully believing you deserve it, or can actually do it, or fearing you'll never break those old perceptions others have of you. Here's the good news. It's absolutely possible to reclaim your identity and build a stronger sense of self-worth. Even if you've been living in survival mode for what feels like forever, you're not doomed to hover in the shadows of your past or your divorce. In fact, you can step into a role where you're confidently making decisions, pursuing your God-given purpose, and feeling good, yes, actually good, about who you see in the mirror each day. In fact, with the ladies I have worked with, I gave them a mini stress test. I asked them to take a picture of themselves at the start of working together. Then I asked them to take another one at the end of working together. And honestly, the difference is real. In fact, you know what? I'm going to ask you guys to do it too. I want you to take a picture. You don't need to post it anywhere. It's for your own reference. And I want you to look at it. You will likely notice that the smile in the first pic is forced, like there isn't any life or glow in your face. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? I was the exact same. My marriage and that divorce had sucked my light out of me, and you could tell in all my pictures. Then when I took pictures throughout and after my healing journey, there was a day and night difference. I had that glow back. I was smiling genuinely and it was beautiful. It felt beautiful. And that's what my ladies see too. And the reason why I get them to do this activity is as a test. Because sometimes we don't realize how much we heal and progress, especially as we take micro steps to do so without overwhelming our nervous system. And sometimes we may think or doubt it's not really tangible enough. So by tracking it, we see our progress. And for me, that progress is the genuine smile and beautiful glow you get back on your face, the face that shows self-worth, honor, and genuine love for yourself. That's my mission for all of you. And that's what we will dive into today. In today's session, we'll explore how to own your life again. One of the biggest struggles we sisters face after divorce is diminished self-worth. We'll talk about breaking free from those lingering voices, maybe from family, from your ex, or from your own mind, that tell you you're not enough or too broken. If you've been feeling that constant drag of low self-esteem, or you catch yourself thinking, I'm just not deserving of happiness, keep watching. Because I want to show you that your worth is so much more than your past. And when you tap into that worth, grounded in faith and genuine self-confidence, everything changes. So let's dive in, my sis. It's time to discover how you can step into owning your story, your future, and craft your identity as a strong, high-caliber Muslimah who's not defined by her divorce, but by her resilience from it, the wisdom gained, and her trust in Allah. A woman who believes she has the right to happiness and the resolve to make it happen. So let's explore how to rebuild your self-worth from the inside out and why it matters for your spiritual, emotional, and personal growth. Let's begin. Firstly, I want to acknowledge the void. Let's get real about what it feels like to lose your sense of self and struggle with an identity crisis. For many of you, it's not just about heartbreak or day-to-day stress. It's that silent question lingering in the background. Am I even allowed to want a life I love? Or am I stuck here forever? One sister told me, I keep thinking, what if I'm not strong enough to succeed anyway? Sometimes you look around at your life, maybe you're living with parents who trigger old wounds. Or you're juggling children and finances, and all these responsibilities drown out the little voice inside saying, I know you can do more. You can be more. The conflict often shows up like this. You have a dream, or at least a faint idea of who you'd love to be, a confident woman of faith, stepping into new opportunities, maybe even starting a passion project or going back to pursue education. But then you remember the judgments, the fear of failing, the what will people say? Another sister mentioned, I'm constantly worried about what others think, so I hold myself back and stay stuck in negativity. It's like I'm too scared to even try. And if you're nodding along, you know exactly how draining it feels to question your every move, worried you don't measure up even to your own expectations. Some of you have said, I'm living in survival mode. I don't even know who I am outside of being someone's ex-wife or someone's mum. Then there's the shame that creeps in the result. You end up dismissing your dreams thinking, I'm probably not good enough anyway, so why bother? And that's the real heartbreak, sis. Feeling like your worth was somehow tied to your past marriage or your old roles. When that's gone, you end up in this void of, who am I without that? Or what if I'm never worthy of a fresh start? Another sister said, I want clarity and direction, but I'm terrified I'll never find it. I'll be stuck in a cycle of doubt forever. It can affect everything, your confidence at work, your interactions with family, even your salah and spiritual connection. When you don't believe you're worth investing in, it's tough to muster up the energy to build a life that truly reflects your potential. But as I'm sure you felt in the last 2 videos, just because you're in that place right now doesn't mean it's permanent. Your self-worth can be reclaimed and your identity, independent of your divorce or anyone else's opinions, can grow stronger than ever, inshallah. And that's exactly what we'll dive into next, how to shift from feeling unworthy and lost to embracing a new confident sense of self without feeling guilty about putting your needs first. My dear sis, I know how it feels to look in the mirror and wonder, who actually am I now? Or what do I want for myself going forward now that it's all over? And I've seen firsthand how sisters like you, dealing with divorce, kids, living with family who might not understand, can lose themselves in the daily grind. But let me reassure you, there is a way to rebuild your confidence and rewrite your story, even if you're in that constant mental fog. One sister mentioned feeling so stressed she can't recall basic everyday things, which makes her doubt if she can handle life on her own. If that's you, I want you to know there's hope. I have been through this myself, and I've helped sisters in very similar situations where they felt their mind was shutting down, overshadowed by fear or shame, but found a path to genuine self-belief. If you're new here, I'm Hannah, and I've been guiding sisters through a holistic, faith-aligned journey of healing and elevation. We focus on releasing the emotional and spiritual baggage while also nurturing your mind and soul with Quranic principles, so you're not just dealing with surface level. I've seen sisters go from feeling worthless and stuck in negativity to rediscovering their strengths, stepping up as confident single mothers, or even launching new careers they never thought possible. What's different about my approach is that we understand the ultimate healing philosophy. Healing must be done holistically and on dimensions. So we blend psychological insights, like a deep understanding of the stages of psychological grief and mind mastery with spiritual practices like self-ruqya and Quranic wisdom. That means you're not forced to choose between your mental wellness, your emotional state, and your Islamic values. Instead, you're weaving them all in together, which is often the missing piece if you've previously tried purely secular self-help, therapy, or worked with different providers trying other short-term focused solutions. One sister I worked with felt she'd completely lost herself after her divorce, couldn't concentrate at work, doubted her ability to be a good mum, and worried her mental fog might be permanent. We introduced a few simple daily steps to fortify her mind and start resetting her nervous system. And gradually she started seeing herself not as the woman who failed her marriage, but as the woman who was guided out of a toxic situation and who's now ready to grow and glow again with Allah's help. It wasn't an overnight shift, but each little breakthrough, the first time she stood up for herself and set healthy boundaries with family, or the first time she recognized she had the right to dream again, showed her, I do have value outside my marriage. I do have the strength to carve a future I love. And that transformation is something I believe every one of you can experience too. I'm not here to offer a quick fix or make you recite affirmations that ignore your deeper core wounds. This is about intentional steps, all building upon each other, weaved into each other and walking alongside you step by step, addressing the root causes of low self-esteem and the habits that keep you stuck, all while acknowledging that your faith, your cultural context, and your responsibilities don't vanish overnight. You get to heal and evolve in a way that respects your reality. And if you're thinking, I've tried to see my worth, but I always slip back into old doubts, know that you're not alone, and it's not a sign you can't thrive. It just means you might need a guided roadmap that honors both your emotional battles and your spiritual state. In the next part, I'm going to share a practical step you can take right now, something to help you begin flipping those negative scripts about your value. If you felt like your identity is defined by your divorce or your past mistakes, this small exercise can start shifting that narrative even today. Ready? Let's dive into a simple but powerful approach to rediscover your worth wherever you are on this journey. Because I know there tends to be a range of where we are on this. I know some of you feel so low that naming even one good quality seems difficult right now, and that's okay. While others might recognize a few strengths, but still struggle to fully believe in them. Wherever you land, there's a step you can take today to start shifting that inner narrative. I like to think of this as the seed, anchor, and bloom approach. 1, if you feel you're struggling to find positives or you quickly dim them, then we start with the seed. Look for the tiniest moments where you showed up, even if it didn't feel huge. For instance, did you get out of bed and make your kids breakfast today despite feeling numb? That's a seed of care. Did you recite a short dua or attend to even one of your daily prayers even if your heart wasn't fully in it? That's a seed of faith. And if you're feeling really stuck, ask a trusted friend or sibling, what do you think I'm good at? You might be surprised at how they see strengths you're overlooking, and borrow that perspective. Even a tiny acknowledgement like, you always check on me when I'm upset, can be a seed you plant to remind yourself, I have the capacity to care. Next, tie it to faith. So for example, if that seed is an act of care, link it back to something like the hadith on mercy. If it's an act of resilience, reflect on Allah's promise of ease after hardship. Make it a reminder that you have a trace of what Allah loves, even if it feels small. Then slowly build on that. 2, if you can name a few strengths, then we will do the self-value anchor and bloom exercise. First, write down those strengths you can already see, like patience, resilience, or problem solving, and pick one to bloom further. For example, if you know you're good at organizing the household, how can you use that skill to reduce your own stress or invest in your personal goals? Make a small plan. I'll dedicate 15 minutes a day to planning my self-care time, just like I'd plan my kids' schedules. Next, link that trait back to something in the Quran or a hadith or one of Allah's names, so it's rooted in your faith. For instance, if you feel you have a gentle heart for others, you might reflect on Ar-Rahman, the most merciful, reminding yourself that embodying mercy in your own small way aligns you with the qualities Allah loves. As you lean into that strength, connecting it with an attribute of Allah or a Quranic verse that celebrates growth or success, this creates a sense of, I'm supported in using my gifts for good, Allah values me and my effort. Over time, that confidence blooms into something bigger, like pursuing a new hobby or handling finances more boldly, or stepping up in your career without guilt. Also, a side note, gratitude is a huge part of faith. Most people misunderstand this as just saying Alhamdulillah for a blessing we have, but in reality it goes much deeper. I will talk on this topic another day because it's a larger topic of discussion. However, I do want to say another one of the ways of expressing gratitude to Allah, therefore also protecting and increasing the blessing, is using that blessing with intention and intention to please and get closer to Allah. So by doing this practice, you also inject barakah into your character traits. 3, create a mini I am statement. Once you have that trait and that faith-based anchor, write a brief I am statement. I am worthy of building a brighter future because Allah has blessed me with resilience or mercy, or perseverance, or whatever else it may be, or I am stronger than my past because I align with the promise of ease after hardship. Keep it short. This is your self-value anchor, a phrase that captures both your innate worth and your spiritual grounding. 4, repeat it and reflect. Finally, pick one moment in your daily routine, maybe right after a chosen namaz or right before you scroll social media, when you'll say or write that statement. Let it interrupt patterns or negative self-talk. As you do, recall a memory or small proof that supports it. For example, I got up this morning and tried, despite feeling exhausted. That's resilience in action. Another sister told me, I've always seen myself as a failure. But when I realized I consistently keep my small commitments, I started believing I'm actually reliable. And that shifted how I see myself. You see, by doing this, you're retraining your mind to see that your identity isn't defined by your divorce or by a label like failure. Instead, you anchor your self-worth in both the personal traits Allah blessed you with and the divine guidance that affirms growth, mercy, and second chances. Over time, these small daily reminders build new muscles in your self-perception, so you begin feeling more confident and acting from a place of worth. And it may feel awkward or cheesy at first, but give it time. One sister said, I used to cringe at I am statements, but once I tied them to my faith, it felt real and unstoppable, and that's the beauty. You're linking your identity to something deeper than your circumstances, to your relationship with Allah and the real strengths He's given you. So if you've been feeling like you can't even name a single positive quality in yourself, start with the seed approach. Let this be your first small step, then go through the anchoring and bloom. Sometimes it's that simple shift, recognizing you do have ability, spark, pieces of you that's valuable and honored by Allah, that starts changing your internal dialogue. And honestly, the beauty of my seed, anchor and bloom technique is that it meets you exactly where you are. If hope is barely flickering, we nurture that seed. If you see some potential in yourself, we water it until it blossoms into deep self-belief. And we tie every step back to our deen, so your worth is grounded in how Allah sees you, not just in fleeting human opinions. And that, my sisters, is how you fade out the voices of criticism, the insensitive, repetitive comments. It's disrespectful. But when you strengthen your own self-worth, they won't be able to penetrate through. Sometimes it may be our energy unknowingly making people feel like it's okay to ask us unsolicited questions. But trust me, as soon as you rebuild your self-worth, you exude queen energy and dare anyone cross their line. You know, one sister told me she felt like she was constantly failing her kids. Then her siblings started mirroring that back to her until she realized that showing up for them each morning, despite her own heartbreak, was a seed of courage. Just shifting her energy by seeing her worth automatically set the boundary with her siblings. Another sister realized her knack for comforting friends over text was a bloom of compassion, aligning each trait with an Islamic perspective, like remembering Allah loves kindness or perseverance. Help them see, of course I have worth, because I'm mirroring qualities that Allah Himself praises. This approach stops that mindset of I'm worthless by replacing it with tangible, faith-rooted evidence of your strengths. Even if you only see a tiny spark right now, that spark can grow into a guiding light towards self-worth if you consistently nurture it. So to quickly recap, here's your small action step that I want you to start doing tonight. 1. Pick a level, seed or bloom that feels right for you. 2. Write or say out loud one example of a positive trait or a small moment of goodness, even like I made dua even when I felt low. 3. Link it to your faith, which attribute of Allah or Quranic ayat reminds you that this trait is valuable. 4. Remind yourself once a day, maybe right after a prayer or right before bed, why this seed or bloom matters, and reflect on ways you can incorporate that into your life even more. Now, you might be wondering, what if I don't have time for this reflection, or I'm scared I'll never believe in myself fully? Let's tackle those doubts next. Because reclaiming your identity often stirs up all kinds of fears, and I want you to feel supported through every step. Ready, sis? Let's address those concerns head on. Alright, sis, maybe you've watched this and thought, it sounds nice, but can I really believe in myself after everything that's happened? Or, I've tried to boost my self-esteem before, but I always slip back into negative thinking. One sister shared she feels so stuck in negativity, worrying constantly about what others think, that it's easier to stay small than risk failure. Another admitted, I want clarity and direction, but I'm not sure, maybe it's not for me. If that's you, let's tackle some common objections to truly owning your self-worth. 1. I'm afraid I'll never truly change. You might say, I've tried affirmations, therapy, or just forcing positivity, and it never stuck. What if I'm simply doomed to be insecure? Sis, I promise you, self-worth isn't an on-off switch. It's a muscle you build slowly. The fact that you've tried before shows a desire to grow. This time, you're rooting those steps in a faith-centered approach where you're not just telling yourself, I'm great. You're seeing a direct link to how Allah values your perseverance, your daily attempts, your sincerity. That deeper anchor often makes the difference between fleeting motivation and a genuine mindset shift. 2. What if I'm too busy, overwhelmed to focus on myself and my self-worth? Another big worry, I can barely manage my routine, finances, kids, living arrangements. How do I have time to nurture my identity? One sister told me she's so preoccupied with her kids' needs, she feels guilty even thinking about her own growth. But remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. Making micro moments for your seed and bloom exercises, even while you're doing something mundane like folding laundry, can recharge you in ways you'd never expect. And as you see small wins, you'll realize, I deserve to be cared for too. Being a single mum or juggling responsibilities doesn't mean you must bury your identity forever. And remember, when you get on a plane, they say put your oxygen mask on first, before your child's. Why? Because you can't help anyone else if you're depleted. The more full you are, the more you can do for your responsibilities and passions. 3. Is it selfish or wrong to prioritize my own needs? Some sisters worry, won't I seem self-centered if I spend time improving myself? Shouldn't I just serve others? but Islam encourages balance. Tending to your well-being isn't selfish, it's essential. Think of our Prophet, who showed us the importance of caring for oneself, physically, mentally, emotionally, as well as spiritually, while still having the utmost compassion for others. In fact, when you recognize your God-given worth, you're better equipped to serve your family and community with a fuller heart. As one sister put it, finally taking care of myself helped me be a calmer mum. My kids needed that too. I'm scared of what people will think if I change. This is a big one that we may not always overtly realize. What if my family or friends think I'm acting too bold or forgetting my roots? This fear can keep you stuck. But sis, you're not changing into someone you're not. You're uncovering the best version of who Allah intended you to be in the first place. Why do you think you went through this pressure and hardship? It was to reveal your best you. Sure, some people might resist that growth, especially if they're used to you being quiet or undervalued. Or to some, if they were able to take advantage of that version of you. But often, as people see you become healthier and more content, they come around, or at least they respect your new boundaries. And if they don't, that's more about them than it is about you. 5. I worry I'll fall back into negative patterns. Finally, there's the concern, even if I start feeling better, what if I just slip into old self-doubt whenever life gets tough? Truthfully, we all have dips. Healing isn't linear. But that's where the seed and bloom approach or any daily reflection practice becomes your safety net. If you stumble, you have a simple routine to come back to, reminding you of your faith, your strengths, and the small evidence that yes, you can keep going. You're never starting from scratch, you're just reaffirming the progress you've already made. And you know what, my sis, I understand all these doubts intimately. Your divorce might have shaken your identity so deeply you're afraid to trust in any form of self-worth again. Know this, healing is possible, growth is possible, and you are worthy of stepping into a new life. No matter how many times you've stumbled or felt judged, you get back up again, dust yourself off and keep going. Let yourself lean on Allah's guidance and watch how these small steps, woven into your faith, transform your outlook. Now, I want you to really understand this. Your divorce could literally turn into your greatest opportunity to transform your life into one that you own. And I mean really own. You are in that lucky position that you can literally rewrite your story on your own terms. And you now get to decide the next chapter. So, what's it going to be? I hope by now you're feeling more hopeful about reclaiming your self-worth. And if you've journeyed with me through these 3 episodes of this mini-series, tackling overwhelm, emotional turmoil, and now rebuilding self-worth, my hope is you're seeing a spark of possibility. Maybe you've caught a glimpse of how you can plant those small seeds, or even let existing strengths bloom to rediscover, realign, and reintroduce your best identity. But you might still wonder, how do I pull all these pieces together into my daily life for real lasting change? Or maybe you're thinking, okay, I'm ready to do something about this. What can I do for myself? That's exactly what I'll be sharing next. In a couple of days, I'll be sending out an email about how you can continue this journey with me if you'd like more structured support. No pressure, but I know many sisters have said, I want clarity, direction, and ongoing help so I don't slip back. And that's what this next step is all about. For now, just know that the small wins you've been collecting, like identifying your emotional triggers or finding that seed of self-worth, are the foundation. We're going to build on that foundation in a more integrated way so you're not juggling 1,000 separate strategies. Many sisters shared in the survey, I've tried everything in bits and pieces, but I just need a roadmap that ties it all together without ignoring my faith or my busy life. If that resonates, keep an eye on your inbox, because that's exactly what I'll be talking about, a path that's consistent and doable for real everyday Muslimah life. Because it's one thing to know you need to calm your mind, process your emotions, and rediscover your self-worth, but how do you ensure it all meshes into daily life? How do you confidently step into that new identity as a high-caliber Muslimah, balancing faith, family, and your personal dreams without burning out? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about accountability, structure, and the real-world support many of you said you're missing, so you're never alone trying to keep this momentum going. I'll share how you can get support on each pillar we've discussed: heart work for grief recovery, mind mastery, and Quranic healing. And do it in a way that feels cohesive rather than patchwork. No more feeling like you're alone, trying generic self-help tips that don't quite mesh. So stay tuned, sis. If you've come this far, you're already showing that spark of willingness to believe in yourself again, like the sister who realized, I want to put my needs first, but with guidance, so I don't feel selfish or lost. That willingness is enough to spark a whole new chapter in your life. So to conclude, my dear sis, you've come so far and I'm so very proud of you. Thank you for giving me your time and joining me in exploring how to tackle overwhelm, emotional turmoil, and now reclaiming your self-worth. I hope each step has lit a little more hope in your heart. Maybe you're discovering that it's not too late, that you are allowed to dream big, and that healing doesn't mean just surviving but truly blossoming. One sister wrote, "I'm so tired of feeling numb, but I finally realized if I don't try, I'll never know." And I love that because it's a reminder that you don't have to wait for life to fix itself. You can take small, faithful steps today, knowing Allah sees every bit of effort and will reward you as a result. Remember, we live in a cause and effect world. Before we close off for today, I'd love to hear one final thought from you. Maybe share one thing you've discovered about yourself through these videos, or even one small seed you're determined to nurture. It could be something like, "I realized I do have resilience. I keep showing up each day no matter what." Or, "I'm going to let go of my fears and trust Allah's plan for me a bit more each day." Feel free to comment below or send me a DM if it's private. Even a brief note to yourself can help solidify that positive spark. And remember, if you're thinking, "I'm ready for consistent guidance, a roadmap that ties all this together," please keep an eye on my upcoming email or Instagram. Insha'Allah, dropping on Friday on the blessed night of 15th Sha'aban, where I'll be sharing how you can start your very own journey towards Allah, towards yourself, if you feel it is right for you. Because like the sister who shared with me, I want clarity and more confidence, a clear, structured plan. Well, you might find that plan closer than you think. I appreciate every single one of the comments and testimonials I have received on this series. I'm so proud of the heart you've poured into showing up, being here, applying all that you learn. And whether you feel you've made tiny steps or giant leaps, know that every step matters and is a step closer to your success. And remember, Allah never wastes the effort of those who sincerely seek Him. Jazakallah khair for spending this time with me. And I pray your path forward is filled with hope, resilience, and the beautiful sense of self-worth you deserve. Insha'Allah, I'll see you soon. Keep believing in yourself and keep turning to Allah. You've got this, my beautiful. If you feel like you have benefited from these episodes, please do kindly hit the subscribe button. That also means that you get to access all the newest episodes when they drop without needing to request a new link each time. Please do also keep me, my family, and the work that I do in your precious du'as. Assalamu alaikum.